The domestic solar PV market is growing rapidly right across the world, but with this rapid growth comes a surge in the number of solar installers entering the market. Some experienced, some not so much. So how can you be sure that the installer you choose will deliver a quality installation for your home? I mean, how do you avoid getting stuck with someone like this cowboy? In this video, I'll be guiding you through the key factors to consider when choosing your solar installer, so that you're not left with a poor quality job after spending thousands on it. Hi there, I'm Gary and welcome back to my channel, Gary Does Solar. You're about to spend a great deal of money on your solar installation, and so you need to be sure that the installer you choose knows what they're doing and that they'll do a great job and they'll still be around should you have any problems during the lifetime of your installation. I hear horror stories almost every day about shoddy solar and battery installations, everything from poor electrical work to damaged or leaking roofs, with some solar installers blatantly dodging their warranties or simply disappearing from the market overnight. It's imperative then to spend a reasonable amount of time to understand the key aspects involved in sourcing a trustworthy installer. Now, while this video focuses on the UK market, the principles I discuss are applicable anywhere in the world. Just keep in mind that there may be specific regulations in your country. And if you're short on time and you'd welcome my personal recommendations for a UK solar installer, stay tuned to the end of this video. Okay then, there's a lot to cover, so let's kick things off with starting your search. If we look at the UK market, there are a lot of solar installers to choose from. According to data from the Microgeneration Certification Scheme, or MCS, there are over 2,400 MCS certified solar installers in the UK today. And that number has been growing by 100 to 150 new installers every month over the past year. And there are numerous other solar installers who are not MCS accredited, but may be accredited through other schemes. Looking at this data, I think it's fair to say that the number of UK solar installers essentially doubled in the last year. And I'm sure that picture repeats where you live as well. The problem, of course, is that whenever you have a fast-growing marketplace, especially in the domestic sector, it'll attract unscrupulous companies looking to make a quick profit at your expense before disappearing just as quickly as they appeared. Simply being a member of an accredited scheme doesn't guarantee quality workmanship, so you'll need ways to filter down your list of choices. A good starting point is to decide on the kind of installer you'd like, and one might split them into three distinct categories: national installers, commissioned installations, and independent installers. Here are my views on each of those, and your views may well be different. National installers typically have extensive coverage across your country, making them accessible no matter where you live. They may also have an established brand and reputation, which can be reassuring for customers. Additionally, depending on their size, their significant buying power to the market may enable them to secure bulk discounts on equipment, which in turn would allow them to provide you with highly competitive quotations. That said, larger companies inevitably have higher overheads, and these will have to be covered in their quotations as well. But you might find these larger companies are also able to offer financing options to make their quotations more accessible. Now, while national installers will have their own teams of engineers to carry out the installs, those teams are finite and generally 100% utilised. And so all the extra business is subcontracted out, and you might not be happy with your job being subcontracted out. And new entrants to the national installer market will still be building their in-house teams, and I would imagine they would focus those teams on the most straightforward of jobs in line with their level of training. The problem for me is that even straightforward jobs have their complications, and how would those teams know how to overcome those challenges? And if my own job was subcontracted out, would I still receive a high quality of service? Okay, moving on to commissioned installations. At first glance, commissioned solar installation schemes appear quite attractive. A company approaches the local government or council proposing a scheme to increase solar adoption within the area, leveraging economies of scale to keep costs low. The council then promotes that initiative, and that attracts a substantial number of participants wanting to take part. The company then conducts a tender process for all the work required, typically awarding that contract to the lowest bidder to maximise cost efficiency. However, this approach often leads to problems. With slim profit margins, the winning bidders may cut corners by using cheaper materials and less skilled labour, compromising on the quality of your installation. And worse still, homeowners who trust the council's endorsement may end up with substandard systems and little recourse, as the council may disclaim responsibility, viewing itself as only a facilitator. If you're interested in this approach, I would recommend you carry out a great deal of research before you sign any contract, and the topics I'll be covering later will help you with that. And finally, independent installers. Independent solar installers are typically smaller companies with their own installation teams, and they usually serve a specific geographical area around their base. Given the large number of independent installers, finding one near you should be relatively easy. And working with an independent installer often means dealing directly with the owner of the company or a small dedicated team, leading to a more personalised and quality experience. They're more able to tailor their service to meet your specific needs and preferences. For example, accommodating particular equipment choices, such as specific inverters or battery brands. And with the lower overheads, you might find their pricing more competitive compared to larger companies. Of course, there may be a higher risk that an independent installer will go out of business, potentially leaving you without support for your installation. And that's why it's crucial to spend time on the key criteria I'll be covering in this video, doing your due diligence to significantly mitigate that risk. Finally, choosing an independent installer supports local businesses, and a reputable installer will be committed to delivering quality work and upholding a strong reputation within the community. Whichever type of installer you choose, let's now explore some key criteria to ensure you're selecting a reputable provider who will deliver high quality work and be there to support your system for years to come. I've grouped the criteria into several sections for easy reference later. Let's start with credentials and integrity. When selecting a solar installer, it's crucial to choose a company that's a member of respected industry certification bodies specific to your country. In the UK, for instance, these bodies include NAPIT, NICEIC, RECC, HIES and MCS. Membership of these organisations is far more than just a badge of honour. It's a guarantee that the installer adheres to rigorous industry standards for quality, safety and customer service. Member companies have to pass joining criteria which can be quite rigorous, including a financial status check and then regular ongoing assessments to ensure that they are complying with the latest regulations and best practices. And this provides you, the customer, with significant added protection, as many of these bodies offer guarantees, dispute resolution services and even insurance-backed warranties. For example, HIES safeguards any upfront deposit you pay, ensuring it's protected and refunded if the installer is unable to fulfill its contract to you. And the Platinum Promise offered by NICEIC, assuming that's how you say their name, guarantees that in the event a registered business carries out work for you that turns out to be non-compliant in the first 6 years, but that business has since ceased trading, another registered business will step in and fix the issues at no extra cost to you. I highly recommend you spend some time reading the consumer benefits offered by each of these certification bodies, particularly any terms and conditions around those services. And you can usually find which schemes a solar installer is a member of simply by looking at the bottom of the homepage of their website. Don't just take the presence of these logos at face value though. It's important to verify the membership of that solar installer by visiting the scheme's website and searching for them. Another important check, although this requires a bit more time and effort, is to research the installer's company directly. Now, the method for doing this will vary depending on your country, but in the UK you can use Companies House for this purpose. Here you can review how long the company has been in operation, whether their accounts are up to date, who the directors and major shareholders are, and crucially, what other companies those people are associated with. Now, I could probably dedicate an entire video on what you should be looking for here, but one red flag would be if a director of a solar company has previously been involved with other solar companies that have all ceased trading, for example. Let's now move on to customer feedback and reputation. A great way to make an early assessment of a solar installer is to see what their customers are saying about them, and there are a number of ways to do that. A good place to start are the various consumer review websites available in your country. Here are a selection in the UK: TrustPilot, TrustATrader, CheckaTrade and Which. Just search for the company name and check out the customer reviews. Now, I wouldn't just concentrate on the overall star rating, but actually read through the reviews themselves. For a company that's been in business for say 3 years, you should expect to see reviews consistently spaced over that period. And if you notice a cluster of reviews all around the same time with little or no activity outside of that, it could be a red flag, suggesting that those reviews have been fabricated. I also recommend ignoring one-line reviews, whether they're positive or negative, as they lack substance and actually could apply to any company or service. Instead, focus on detailed reviews where the customers have taken time to describe their experience in depth. These insights are far more valuable in assessing the quality and reliability of the company. Another way direct from your armchair is to explore online social media forums. For example, Facebook hosts this highly active UK-based group where you can join the conversation and then search for the name of the company you're interested in order to gain first-hand insights from people who've had direct experiences with that company. Now, if your prospective installer comes across well after your research online, a next step might be to ask for 1 or 2 references, preferably from recent projects they've undertaken where you can go and visit. This allows you to assess the quality of that installer's work firsthand, and it also gives you the opportunity to hear directly from other customers about their experiences. Turning our attention slightly now to reputation, this for me is one of the most important factors to look at. A solar installer with a great reputation has likely spent years building it, and they'll work diligently to protect that reputation. Finding such an installer can give you significant confidence that your solar installation will be of high quality. Now, that's not to say your installation will be without issues, but a reputable installer will be committed to addressing those issues as quickly as they can. Contrast that with the game plan of cowboy installers who enter the market simply to make quick profits from as many customers as possible and then disappear, leaving all those customers unsupported. And these companies often re-enter the market under new names, repeating the cycle again and again without any concern for their reputation or long-term customer satisfaction. And that's why it's crucial to seek out installers who've invested time, effort and money in building and maintaining a strong reputation. And a great way to do that is to look for installers with a strong social media presence. For example, those who regularly post photos or videos of their work or run their own YouTube channel, giving you a front row seat as they carry out solar installations on a daily basis. Now, I don't know of any better way to gauge how a prospective installer will handle your project other than by observing them firsthand, seeing how they work and how they resolve issues. We've looked at quite a few key criteria now, and we've still got some more to go. I won't lie though, it represents a fair amount of your time to invest in order to determine whether a prospective solar installer is up to par or not. But don't worry, stick around, because at the end of the video I'll be talking about an initiative I'm planning to launch where I'll be doing a lot of that work for you. Before we look at the next set of criteria then, these videos take quite a bit of effort to make, and if you're finding them useful and you'd like to support my work, here are a few ways you can do that. You can simply like this video, which helps promote it to others. You could also subscribe to the channel, which will help extend its reach. You could join my Patreon, giving you the inside view, access to handy software utilities and other benefits. And if you live in the UK, you could switch to Octopus Energy with my referral code, and we'll both get £50. Or feel free to buy me a coffee. Decaf please, otherwise I'll be awake for hours. Whatever you do, your support is very much appreciated, thank you. Okay, the next set of criteria is all about customer interaction. And this aspect can truly make or break your experience with a solar installer. An installer should be genuinely interested in your needs and not just making a sale. Often, an installer may begin by assessing your property and situation remotely, providing you with an initial quotation that is subject to a site survey. This approach helps save everyone's time. It allows you to get a general idea of the cost and what you're paying for before committing to a home visit. Similarly, it gives your installer a chance to gauge your interest and ensure you're comfortable with the initial proposal before they invest time in a site visit. However, if an installer doesn't see the need to conduct an on-site survey and expects you to commit based solely on that initial remote quotation, that to me is a red flag. It's only through the site survey that any complications will be seen that could impact the work required and therefore the price. And when the site visit happens, make sure it's an experienced engineer who comes out and not just a salesperson. And while they're there, take the time to ask plenty of questions. How will the work be done? How long will it take? And who exactly will be carrying it out? And how will they manage safety on site? All the while satisfy yourself that they're truly focused on addressing your needs rather than just making a sale. Soon after the survey, you should receive a detailed quotation from the installer. How detailed is it? If it's just 1 or 2 pages, you could be opening yourself up to trouble. There's not enough detail about what the installer is committing to provide. On the other hand, if it's 50 pages long, there could well be hidden clauses in there that weaken your protections. So it's crucial to take the time to review that quotation line by line, or consider using an AI tool like ChatGPT to scan the document and highlight any potential red flags or unfavourable terms. A good quotation should include a visualization of how the solar panels will look on your roof and how everything will be wired into your home electrical system. It should provide a comprehensive list of all the equipment, which should be at the latest models and version numbers unless you've specified otherwise. Costs should be clearly itemised with a transparent breakdown between parts and labour. The quotation should also include a detailed calculation of the expected annual solar generation, giving you a clear idea of the system's expected performance. And be sure to review the fine details regarding warranties for both the equipment and installation work. Both should be guaranteed for a certain period, but these timeframes can vary. And it's important here to understand the difference between the manufacturer's warranty and the installer's warranty. Okay, let's talk about the price. Now, while price is important, it shouldn't be the main factor driving your decision. The old adage often holds true: you get what you pay for. And so you should expect to pay a little more for a quality installer. And by following the criteria outlined in this video, you'll be confident you've found one. You should also check the payment schedule for the work. Typically, a deposit is required before the work begins. In the UK, 25% of the total price is considered reasonable. But because this is a significant amount to pay up front, ensure that that deposit is protected with a scheme like HIES, which guarantees a refund if the job doesn't proceed. Feel free to ask questions about the quotations you receive on social media forums like the one I mentioned earlier. And I offer my own consultation service called Chat with Gary if you'd like me to look things over for you as well. A couple of final criteria then before you push the button. Watch out for the hard sell. A good installer will offer you the best price up front and should have already demonstrated that they can meet your needs with a high quality installation and excellent after-sales service. A cowboy installer, on the other hand, knows that you have options and will try to close the deal quickly before you have a chance to explore them. And to achieve this, they'll often resort to high-pressure tactics. They'll offer you a discount that's only available for a very limited time, creating a false sense of urgency. Be on the lookout for these tactics. Remember, it's a buyer's market right now. You have plenty of choices and ample time to make a well-informed decision. It gets even worse if you've invited the installer into your home. That discount they offer might only be valid while the salesperson is there, and they won't go away until you've signed on the dotted line. Seriously, just tell them to leave, and if they won't go, text a friend or family member to come over and throw them out. Finally, and this could be very important depending on the country you live in, does the installer allow part of the payment to be made with a credit card? If so, this could give you extra protection in the event of any disputes or the installer going out of business. In the UK, for example, under Section 75 of the Consumer Credit Act, your credit card provider is jointly liable with the installer for any breach of contract or misrepresentation. That means if something goes wrong with the installation, you can claim your money back through the credit card provider. In the United States, the Fair Credit Billing Act, FCBA, offers similar protections, allowing consumers to dispute changes and hold credit card companies accountable in certain situations. In the European Union, the EU Consumer Credit Directive provides some protections, but the specific rights and mechanisms may vary depending on the country. And in Australia, Australian consumer law offers protections that can cover credit card purchases. It's important that you read up on all of this carefully, as there may be exclusions to the protections available. Okay, that was a lot to cover in this video, but I hope it's given you the knowledge and confidence to make an informed decision about which solar installer you choose. That way you'll not only protect your investment, but you'll ensure that the solar system you get performs exactly as you want it to. Before we close then, for some of you, you don't have the time nor inclination to do all that research, and you'd be much happier if someone just told you who was best to go with. I mean, I totally get that, and so I'm planning to help out in this area myself by building an installer directory, initially for the UK, but hopefully other countries over time if it proves to be successful. If you want to follow me on this journey, click the link here and I'll keep you up to date with how things progress. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.